Why do you care? Cool intro, right? Hey, I got a haircut, as you could see. I'm gonna be posting a video of what my hair looked like before I got it cut. And I have to say, my barber cooked me. He messed me up really bad. But it got me thinking, right? Why do I care? What's so significant and important of a good haircut, right? Is not a haircut just to appeal to other people, to fit in within the norms and the confines of society? So then why do I care? I could stay at peace with the idea of having a horrible haircut. Now, granted, I'm not at peace with that. I really wanted to have a really good haircut, and I'm probably going to go get it cut again tomorrow. The point what I'm trying to make is, why do we pent up ourselves with caring about what other people think? You feel me? In the 12th grade of my senior year, if you looked at me, the type of person of who I was and how I behaved and who I acted, you would have called me crazy, right? I had this horrible shaved head that was super bad. I told my mom to shave my head because I lost a bet against one of my friends on a soccer game with Manchester United and Real Madrid that year. And so I told him that I would buzz it, but as the time nearby, I kept postponing it more and more and more until one day I decided to man up and I just buzzed it myself. And then I asked my mom to help me buzz it, and it looked really bad. So the entirety of 12th grade year was literally just me walking around with one of the worst haircuts that you would have seen. And it reminded me of one of my friends who went to the same middle school that I went to. He also had a horrible haircut. Matter of fact, on the side of his hair, right, he literally, like, I can't explain it to you. I might just have to draw it. But he literally, like, shaved this part, like, clean off, and then he just left it like that. And it looked like a block in the middle of his side. It wasn't like even a design. It wasn't nothing. It was the worst haircut that I've ever seen. He even had like a bit of his hair like buzzed out here and then the rest grown out. And then for the entirety of middle school, he had his hair like that. At first glance, I kind of felt bad for him, and a lot of kids were making fun of him, including me. But after a bit and after a while, I commended that, because not a lot of people have the balls to do that sort of thing, especially in middle school, to rock a hairstyle so crappy that you just don't care. Now, after 12th grade, after I graduated and after my hair grew out and I finally started styling and I finally started taking care of myself, I realized a beautiful lesson that I kind of learned through that chaotic and almost horrible year and such a terrible year that I had, because I was super depressed in that time. But it was something that I kind of learned, and I'm kind of glad that I kind of went through that experience, because what I learned from that was to stop caring and to not care about what other people thought. And when I tell you I really looked horrible and I was in such horrible shape and in such a horrible mental state, it was really bad. And I remember there was this one time I was in science class. It was my homeroom kids that I knew, who were mutuals. They were friends of mine, right? And they started taking pictures of my ashy ankles because I had ankle socks, and my jeans at the time couldn't cover all of my ankles and all of my skin. So it looked really bad. And I knew they took a picture of it, and I saw them take a picture of it. And instead of me pressing them, which is something that I wish I should have done, and instead of me really caring, of me really being riled up about it with my emotions, being like, oh shoot, like they caught me at such a vulnerable moment, I didn't really care. And a lot of people saw me with like this horrible hairstyle, and at some point, I just stopped caring about that too, right? I stopped caring about how people perceived me that year, and what it was that people were trying to think about me or what they thought about me. And what this brings up is a philosopher that I liked and who I kind of read just a little bit. And his name was Diogenes the dog. Diogenes was a Greek philosopher, and he had a very interesting way of living, right? Diogenes was someone who had a very, I wouldn't even say unorthodox approach to philosophy and teaching, but his lifestyle pretty much mimicked what he preached. He was someone who lived in a pot in the middle of a street. He would often be caught, just rambling and screaming. He was kind of your modern day crackhead when you think about it. And you would see him taking a piss in the streets and probably masturbating here on there. He was very, very unhinged. And he was probably the first unhinged. He was crazy and he was very unhinged. But something that I admired about reading a bit about Diogenes, the cynic, or whatever his name was, right, was that he didn't care, right? When you look at his lifestyle, he really did not care who you were, what you did, what you achieved, or what you thought. He lived, in a sense, in the most realist way possible a human being could live. Am I telling you to go publicly masturbate? Nah. You don't have to do all of those things that I listed in the stories that I just told you to stop caring. But you should at least put in a bit of effort and really not care. If I look back and I think back at my 12th grade year and how I behaved and how I acted and really just how I was, a lot of people probably spoke ill about me behind my back, or maybe not at all. But after 2 years, guess what? It hasn't affected my day-to-day life. It hasn't affected the very present version of me now, and it didn't affect me back then. I never really found a reason now, looking back at it, why I should have cared. And looking at my old life experiences, looking at the type of kid I was in elementary school, middle school, and even high school, I look back at those aspects of my life and I'm just seething with regret and just wish that I could transfer my current state mind to the very past and live out the sort of experience that I've learned today. Because maybe the current present day now would have a different outcome, right? And I always wonder, why do we care? Why do we care what other people really think? Why is that such a thorn in everyone's side, right? It makes no sense, right? In a logical sense, it doesn't make sense. Why do you care, right? I could go down in public right now and scream out the most grotesque, vile things ever and walk away, and most people will forget in probably 5 hours tops. And so my point is, stop caring. Because the more you care about what other people think, the more you're never going to grow as a human being, right? When you look around, right, there's so many people who've never achieved and never even tried taking their dreams seriously because they cared so much about what outside opinions were going to say about them. But it's not like it mattered anyway, right? People were still going to talk bad about you. And so what, right? So what if people think ill will of you? If anything, this is a motivation. This has turned into like a motivational speech. I really wanted this to be like a story time kind of thing, and I'm kind of pissed off that it turned out to be like this, but it is what it is. And people are going to look at this and probably going to make fun of me, but I got to practice what I preach. You know what I'm saying? And this is like very corny, saying it over and over and over again, telling people to not care, but it's a really important message because you really shouldn't care about what other people think of you, right? The last thing you want to do is is have your life be dictated by people who don't have your best interests in their heart, right? It's just really a very important message, and I thought that I should share it today. So yeah, stop caring about what other people think of you. Peace.